Bush and Dukakis on crime. Bush supports the death penalty for first-degree murderers. Dukakis not only opposes the death penalty, he allowed first-degree murderers to have weekend passes from prison. One was Willie Horton, who murdered a boy in a robbery, stabbing him 19 times. Despite a life sentence, Horton received 10 weekend passes from prison. Horton fled, kidnapped a young couple, stabbing the man and repeatedly raping his girlfriend. Weekend prison passes. Dukakis on crime.
Oh, shoot! It's the Willie Horton ad. I'm like, man. I love doing these videos, even though nobody watches me, just to dig up old information like this, so I can talk about it. And in this video, we're going to talk about the Willie Horton ad. We're going to talk about the 1994 crime bill and mass incarceration, and we're going to tie it all together. So we can't just blame Sleepy Joe, for writing that crime bill. I'm like, well, he didn't write it by himself. And Republicans also put their name on that crime bill. And, and Bernie Sanders put his name on that crime bill. So, but the Willie Horton ad, this ad was credited for single-handedly helping George Bush defeat Dukakis, in the presidential race. And I can't say I remember the ad, but I did remember that race. I was just like a kid, and I think we was we was moving at the time, and we didn't have much, and my dad would just sit there and watch, and I would just watch it with him, and so forth. And I didn't care who won. I didn't know the difference between a Democrat and Republican. I know George Dukakis just looked funny to me. I'm like that. That's why I was like, man, I wish I didn't want Dukakis to win as a kid, because he looked just weird to me. You know what I'm saying? I know I look weird. Dukakis, I'm like, that sounds like a name for an porn star. I'm like, somebody should make a rap song just called, rappers just make rap song, just name them anything, like Jeffrey does, just random. Just make a rap song called Dukakis. You know what I mean? Where is Dukakis anyway? But they ran that ad. I guess Dukakis, when he was a governor or mayor or whatever, granted Willie Horton a weekend pass, and then he went and killed some white people on some freaking Friday the 13th shit in some sort of cabin. So you can only imagine how devastating this ad was to the image of black people, especially the black men. Because forget about Jason, Freddy Krueger, Predator, Poltergeist, Rawhead Rex, the Jeepers Creepers man. The real boogeyman here in America is the black man. And don't you forget it. And that ad proves it. Matter of fact, the Willie Horton ad is so nefarious that there is actually a documentary on that ad alone and how effective it was, how it was a home run hit. And so, there you have it. And but we can go back to, we can really go back to slavery and Jim Crow, but we go back to Reaganomics and the crack era. You know what I'm saying? This is what set up some catastrophic events, complete cataclysm that may have caused irreversible damage to the black community. It's like black people just, we're getting beamed up all over the place. We're taking all kind of freaking hits. When you look at the whole picture, and stop just looking at things, just dissecting and looking at things from the block. We got to see the whole picture. And this is why I say the fall of the black community did not happen with black women trading in black men for a welfare check. That's, what I'm saying. So I already squashed that in one of my last Pinnacle videos. So when you're dealing with Reaganomics, how Reagan streamlined it, a lot of industries, a lot of factories went down, a lot of, closures and stuff like that. People was all out of work. People was suffering. Then crack cocaine hit. Crack cocaine, that was like a tsunami. Not only did crack cocaine created a new kind of drug user, but it also created a new kind of drug dealer. Crack cocaine is like, any numbskull or nitwit can now sell drugs and make money and get a nice car and gold chains. Before, drug dealers, or at least drug dealers that was making real money, not like petty drug dealers that sell drugs on the weekend. But before that, really heavy drug dealers that made some real money was rare in the black community. There was a lot, but they wasn't like on every corner or some shit. Crack cocaine is like everybody was using at the time. Everybody was dealing. And you know what I'm saying? And you gotta understand, crack cocaine was unlike how people got addicted so fast. Like they thought it was going to be another drug, just like angel dust or PSP. You know, I read an article about this that, you know, you have a lot of people that may sniff cocaine. They're weekend drug users. You know what I mean? They could get their paycheck, do some drugs, go to work on Monday, or even do overtime on Sunday. But crack cocaine changed everything. So therefore, you had Ronald Reagan and Nancy Reagan with their war on drugs. Say no to drugs. I used to see that on video game screens and so forth. And I believed in it too as a little kid. I was like, you know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, I'm not going to touch that stuff. David came out with a freaking video game called Narc. One of the most violent video games of two cops just literally massacring drug dealers, blowing them up. You talk about Mortal Kombat. Look at the game Narc that came before that. Man, that game was just crazy. And so forth. But yeah, this did some damage. The war on drugs, there was books written about it. You know, white people came, you know, the cops came in, they didn't know who was dealing drugs, who wasn't. Or, you know, anybody who had a gold chain on was a crack dealer, or who had, you know what I'm saying, who looked like they had a new pair of Adidas on was a crack dealer. Anybody who had a nice car was a crack dealer. It was rough. So they would just rounded this up. And dope fiends, I don't want to use the term dope fiends, but drug users, drug abusers, addicts, you know what I'm saying, they couldn't get the help that they were just tossed in jail. They wasn't getting help. Everything was really going to shit, you know, with Reagan. And Reagan was a proved racist. And he's another entertainer turned politician. You know, he was approved. You know, they got him on the phone, you know, saying some racist stuff. You know, he ain't a Republican. Then George Bush doesn't help anything with the Willie Horton ad. Now you see everything is really fucked up inside the black community. So, but then Bill Clinton comes, takes the shine from George Bush Sr. because he only did one term. People said that Bill Clinton was, he was like the next JFK. No, he wasn't. But you know, Bill Clinton wooed black people. He played the saxophone. He was hanging out in black churches. He was good friends with Messy Jesse and things of that nature. So he won. He won the presidential election. Black people loved Bill Clinton so much that he won him over again. You know, and black people voted for Al Gore when Al Gore ran against George Bush Jr. You know, black people. And that election was real tricky. Nobody knows who won. Florida, there was ballots in the freaking water. You know how Donald Trump says, "There's a ballot with my name in the wastebasket." You know, he had ballots in the water in Florida. You know, but black people voted for Al Gore. Black people even voted for what was that guy, John Kerry, that went up against George Bush, and they say George Bush stole that election too. Then when Barack Obama ran, he was up against Hillary Clinton to be the nominee. And I remember the RZA from Wu-Tang Clan was supporting. He was supporting Hillary Clinton. You know, he was on the Hillary Clinton bandwagon against Barack Obama. RZA said, "I don't know who Barack Obama is, but I know the hood was eating good when Clinton was in office." That's what RZA said. The hood was eating good. So why are black people so politically inept to not understand what was going on? Because this is the man who put in the 1994 crime bill. You know, so black people need to stop being so politically illiterate, you know, to the point of, you know what I'm saying, the mass incarceration. We should have been like, oh man, you know what I'm saying, since Clinton got into office, man, they done locked up Ray, they done locked up my uncle, they done locked up my cousin and so forth. But that's the thing. Now the crime bill that led to the mass incarceration of black people, that's serious stuff. Some people may look at it as like, oh well, you know what I'm saying, blacks shouldn't be out there messing with drugs in the first place. It's serious. The black community was already in a state of disarray, you know, and so therefore the Democrats had to prove that they can be tough on crime. So they wrote the bill, and as I said before, Republicans put their name on it. The only Republicans who was against that crime bill, not because they cared about black people, because they thought it may lead to the government banning weapons, you know, and so forth. Because this crime bill, they was going to come down hard. It enabled a lot of crime you know what I'm saying, policing institutions all around the country, jails to be built. Billions of dollars went into policing. Billions of dollars went into these authoritarians, you know. And then you had, so of course, yeah, people who had just a seed of marijuana in their pocket, you know what I'm saying. They had to lock people up. They had to do something to show, to justify them getting this money. So you had some small towns, because as I said, black people are all over the place. You know, you had some small towns with a small population of black people that wasn't doing anything, and they was getting rounded up. Because you had the sheriff deputy dog there, and his fucking brother, who run the police station, was like, okay, man, we don't really have crime here, but I want this money. I want to buy my wife a new car. So they got some of that government money to help crack on crime, so they targeted black people. Matter of fact, there was a 60 Minutes expose about how like this small town, you know, they were just accusing these black people of selling drugs, and these black dudes was like walking around. These were dusty black people who, you know, some of them was like freaking still sharecropping, you know, raising goats or something like that, living in shacks almost, and they're like, they're telling me I'm a drug kingpin, you know, because they have to go after somebody. So you know, and black people, you know what I'm saying, we're going to be always the sacrificial lamb. So that crime bill is no joke, but you got to look at all the things leading up to that crime bill, and trust me, I don't think the Republicans was losing sleep at night because of the mass incarceration of black men. Also, Donald Trump. Remember when Donald Trump said, when he was talking in front of all those police officers, he was saying that when you arrest a guy, can you hit their heads on the like the roof of the car and the seal roof of the car, and now like, when you put them in, just hit their head and so forth. So you know what I'm saying? It's really a big dirty game, and you know, black people, you know what I'm saying, we got to really pay attention to these politics, no matter who you vote for. But that's all I want to say. Thanks for watching, and never stop learning.